Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer.
Stare deep into my NeoPixel eyes. For it is time for Ask Engineer. It's me, Ladyada, the engineer with me, Mr. Ladyada on camera control, and all sorts of good stuff. We've got a slightly delayed show for you, but it's all good.
Yeah,
we're still here.
Talk
about that and more. So let's get right into it because we do have still a full show, a full hour of Ask Engineer coming up. What's on tonight's show, Mr. Ladyada?
All right, on tonight's show, we're going to be talking about how we're still shipping safe and smart. We'll talk about the team, and we thank you so much for placing your order. These are some pre-COVID photos, but guess what? We're about to have a bunch of photos that
post-COVID.
Well, I don't know if it'll be post, but I'll tell you.
Not quite done with it, but near trying to finish it, COVID.
It's a good opportunity to leave all the things behind that we want to, and a good opportunity to change and be the best possible company, community. So these next things, I'm not going to say post-COVID. I'm just going to say
what should we say?
The next chapter's almost here.
Okay.
So we'll have some
next chapter photos.
We'll have some photos and more. Lady and I, our schedules are about to change too, so we'll be on site at different times, at home different times, maybe even changing some of our shows up because we're coming back big, everybody. We've been hiring a lot of folks, interviewing a lot of folks, and the demand is really high right now. That's really good. Now we just have to get all these packages shipped. We have to get all the orders done, and it looks like
electronics designed.
Yeah,
and created.
It looks like 2021 might be one of the best years for Adafruit, but it came at a price over the last year, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Show and tell, people around the world showing and sharing their projects. Lady is going to talk about where you can watch a show and tell, because we did show and tell yesterday.
It was an hour.
Yeah.
It was a big show and tell.
Time travel, people around the world show and share their projects. But time travel is about what's going on in the world of hackers, makers, artists, engineers, and more. We have some news and some interesting things. Python on hardware news, all the news that's fit to slither around. Python on hardware is taken off, and we have our newsletter and some news from the community and more. Made in New York City factory footage and more. We got a time lapse, some 3D printing. We have a very fun one this week. DigiKey and Adafruit present Ion MPI. This week's is from Maxim Integrated. We have some new products. We have some top secret. We answer your question. We do that on Discord. 28,000 people plus. I think it's like 29. We do that on Discord. Adafruit.it/Discord. All that and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer. So I'm going to do the first question right now.
That's your question.
And this question is going to lead to what's been going on and why did we postpone the show. So someone said, hey, I thought Ask an Engineer was on every Wednesday. That's right.
Yeah. And it didn't used to. By the way, it used to actually be on Saturday.
We did it on Saturday nights at 10 because that's when there was the quietest time when we could broadcast, but we were also done with the shipping for the day and more. And one time it was just Ladyada and I, and then now we're 100 plus people.
And MOSFET.
So let's talk about why the show got moved to Thursday. So this week was a big week. On Monday, our team has been in pain for the last year, more, but the day that we started our adafruit.com/Black Lives Matter, which I want to take a look at, it was last year. And so
almost a year ago.
You can see our words you can see the real-time thing that we wanted to get out there and our voices heard. It was hard. We were frustrated. We were angry. We were in pain. There was a murder, and that was George Floyd. And we wanted to do all the things we could to fight against racism, and we made our voices heard. We had a day of mourning for George Floyd's funeral. We had our team process and try to understand together what this was. Then we wanted to come together and figure out, is there justice for Breonna Taylor? Accountability and justice in New York City and New York State. This is where we are, so acting locally, signing petitions, marching. Voting, it mattered, and that's why we've always done paid time off for voting, but it really mattered this election, and it'll matter every election. We had our resources. We worked with other companies to do the same thing. We made Juneteenth a company holiday. We have all our paid days off holidays, please take a look at those. There's some of them that are more than just a day off. We have our day of service, day of paid day off for charity. We did online virtual events, and then we helped the John Lewis movie launch right before he passed away. Good Trouble. One of the things that we've always done is celebrate the lives of people. It's been hard because it's just been a lot of death. And so we make sure that we had celebrating Black voices. June Pride Month, we had our series of posts about Black transgender women from the riots at Stonewall. We joined the Stop for Hate Profit campaign, and we decided not to do ads on Facebook, and we told them why. And they eventually said they would change some of their things. Did it work? No, it didn't. We still have a lot of work to do. The fundraising, we put all the places that our team said these are important things to me or in my location. We continued our sponsorships, which we've done before this, was Black Girls Code. We helped demonstrations and protest groups. We got thousands of masks delivered to Black Lives Matter, Great New York. We started our interactive learning kit, and we put the files public domain on GitHub so you can look at the Black Lives Matter badge. We have our digital privacy and security measures for staying safe while demonstrating and protesting. We updated our technical documents, and we removed old words and we put in new words. So
better words.
Yeah. So there's things like blacklist and whitelist, or like master and slave, microcontroller out and sensor out for was it MISO?
MISO and MOSI. It's like you can use even the same acronym if you have all documentation, but I actually think it's more clear to say microcontroller out and sensor in, because it's the microcontroller and it's a sensor.
And one of the things I'm proud is of our community coming together. Teacher contacted us and they said there was a lot of racist content on Thingiverse, and they couldn't use it in the classroom. And this is bad stuff. This isn't just like Peppy the Frog. This was bad. From swastikas to you name it, it's on there.
It was bad.
But you can't see it now because we contacted the CEO of MakerBot, and they took care of it right away, and we released a statement together. And now they do a better job. The teacher is now able to use the downloaded files and put it in the classroom, and that worked out. We held ourselves accountable. We wanted to just be more than a hashtag or a tweet or an icon change. And every state of the fruit, we have something that we're doing. Some weeks it's been, let's try to see what we can do in our community there was Asian hate that was statistically going up everywhere. And we wanted to make sure we could figure out what can we do. So we're accountable to our own actions, and it can't just be a slogan. It can't just be a hashtag. So we got the badge out. We were able to get these finished. Black History Month was 2021. And then we recently had the support and resources for Dante Wright, people that I used to work with, they're using their co-working space for donations, and that community is trying to cope with what just happened where someone was shot, and the officer said, well, I thought it was the taser, but it was a gun. So this week it's been hard, and we moved the show because there was so much going on in the company, and we couldn't do it, and we wanted to spend the time with the team, so we never cancel Ask an Engineer. You can look at the calendar. We've done it almost. There was natural disasters and we still kept going, but this was more important. So there was accountability that happened on Tuesday. A police officer is guilty. This is the first time.
You can actually say he murdered this guy.
And now's the time to work towards justice. Justice has never happened in the first place. And so I know folks are always, worried about saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing. But there was only one wrong thing, I think, in the last year. And it would have been to do nothing. So please, everybody, stand together. There's a lot of work to be done. And I thank our entire team for coming together and constantly giving us a voice and saying, we're just an electronics company, but we can stand up for one another. And we could take some time off. We can delay a show. We can have a package ship a little bit later. We can decide, hey, we wanted to get that new product in. But the thing that we can't do is take our eye off the prize, which is a society where equality can happen. And the thing that we said on the top of this page was action for equality. So sorry that Ask an Engineer has this. and it'll always have this. It's
I'm not
something,
sorry.
and it's something that if folks want to, I get nasty emails all the time. If this is the reason you can't ever deal with us, it's fine. But maybe just listen to some of our stories and read some of these things, and see some of our team members and see what we're trying to do. And all we do is want to help and like get the most people together learning and sharing. And we can't do that when some of the population has been targeted and harassed and murdered. We can't. We have to come together. From Lemore's leading, getting women in the tech world, the work isn't done with that. There's a million miles away from that too. So we can do multiple things at once. We can handle multiple things. I can do 5 or 6 thoughts at the same time.
I can do it too.
And we're not going to let up.
You can do the work, and I like it when I see, I think everyone can do the work, and you can do the work where you are. Whatever it is that you do, there's probably some way that you can help. It's kitschy, but make the world a better place. How can you give people more opportunities? How can you help folks that you see are in pain or need assistance? And you can do that where you are. You don't have to search out for it. It's probably at your doorstep. So, you just have to open your eyes and look for it and ask. And people will be willing to take your help.
So that's why we moved the show one day. So thanks for tuning in tonight. And I hope to bring you more stories each week of creators from every race, color, creed that are doing cool things with electronics. But I'll also, and Lemore will also, and our team will also try to raise awareness and stand up for one another, because if we all do, it can make things better. I can tell you the only thing that would have been a mistake in the last year is to do nothing, and that's not okay. So this is the time and the place, and I think everyone, at least on our team, is going to remember where they were, what they were thinking at 5 o'clock on Tuesday, and it's still not processed. It was joyful and also sad, all at the same time, and I hope the team had some time to reflect on everything, and thanks everybody for moving stuff around so we could do the show tonight. All right. And speaking of the show,
good engineering and good cause.
Let's do the show.
That's us.
So
Okay.
here's what we're gonna do. So we're almost done with the 100 days of masking.
Thanks. About 100 days.
Yeah, we're almost finished. So we tried to parallel with what was going on in the government, which is please mask up for 100 days. So we included one in every USA order, but that's about to end. So I think like this week.
Any day now.
But we're still doing freebies.
That's right. $99 or more, you get a free Permaproto half-size breadboard. Does not make a good mask. Don't make it into a mask. It's full of holes, but it's great for soldering your projects onto after you're done with your solderless breadboard. We also have got stomach QTs. A couple sensors are out of stock. I gotta say that ST sensors in particular and some Bosch sensors, I can't get them anymore. They're just completely sold out everywhere in the known universe. We have plenty of other things. You got stomach QT sensors that are like temperature sensors. We've got some humidity sensors from other companies. We've got some other accelerometers and magnetometers. We've got cutie pies. We'll be adding some more. So we'll be cycling out ones that we can get. Ones we can get, free one with every order, $149 or more dollars. And if you make an account, we'll send you a different one each time. $199 or more, you get free UPS ground shipping in the continental U.S. And $299 or more, you get a free Circuit Playground Express, a lovely round board with all these sensors and devices on it already. We've got lots of those, so don't worry about that. If you want to build projects over the next year and you can't get other microcontrollers, we've got a lot of Circuit Playground Expresses, so a great base for your project.
All right, show and tell. We normally read off everyone's on show and tell, but watch it because it's a full hour.
JP
It's
did a
super
great
good.
job.
No
Thank
reason
you.
to do a recap this week.
Yes, check it out. Lots of Adafruit folks,
We'll be back
other
next
people in the
week.
community, and there was like 50 minutes worth of content, so go check it
Yeah.
out.
And don't forget, normally Wednesdays, 8 p.m., Ask an Engineer, and normally Wednesdays, 7:30 p.m., Ask an Engineer. Those are our two shows on Wednesday. On Sunday, we do Desk of Ladyada. Desk of Ladyada this week is in 2 parts, like it usually is. The first part, Ladyada, what did you show?
Okay, what did I show? A lot of keyboard stuff. So I think I talked about the snap apart keyboard thing, which I will show in more detail. So, I've got like little keyboard breakouts, but what if we can make a snap apart grid that had multiple Neo keys and there was like mechanical mounting holes and allowed people to make ortholinear keys. And then I showed off some camera stuff. We showed off the NFT, the Not Forever Trinky that we're going to make with Panasonic knobby thingy. And then we went straight into the Great Search.
Okay. And then Great Search.
Where in the world is that part I need? The Great Search with DigiKey.
This week, this was an interesting one because we took this from
It was a classic.
Twitter. It was Geek Mom. What were you looking for this week?
Well, I realized we had never covered everyday headers. Headers. I use them in everything. And people probably don't realize you can get like any kind of header at DigiKey. So I talked about the different kinds of header: right angle, straight, double, left, right, tin, gold. You want it, you got it. DigiKey has them all. So we basically went through and just showed how to search for them and how to pick up any size header you want. And especially they can do custom sized headers. That's really handy.
Okay. And the other shows that we do Tuesdays, JP did JP's product pick of the week, where we broadcast live from inside the product page where you get deep discounts and more. Here is the recap.
It is the Cutie Pie RP2040. It has the USB-C connector on there. It has the Stemma QT connector on there, the little castellated pads. Really cute little board, great little board. It's fast, but it's also got so much more flash memory on it. We've got 8 megs of flash that you can put a lot of libraries on it. I have the Adafruit MIDI added to there. I have the drivers for this display. I have the Display I/O drivers for shape and text. I have the Nunchuck driver to use Wii Nunchuck, like this guy right here. It is the Cutie Pie RP2040.
All right, so JP's show was today, just did it, so Thursday. So go back to YouTube after you're done watching this, or if you have like 2 monitors, try to watch it at the same time, see if you can do that. Time travel. All right, so here's what's going on. We are going to be shipping AdaBox
Soon.
Yeah, we said like end of April, beginning of May, but if you haven't signed up, please put in your email address. We don't harvest it and spam it and do anything with it. You'll just get notified when we have openings again.
Correct.
So we do have some signups to get notified afterwards, but there's a chance that we'll have AdaBoxes after we ship out the first round. So maybe try to,
We want to mention that we will not have signups for Europe available after this box.
Yeah, so if you already have like a gift subscription with a international address, you're fine.
Yep.
But we won't be taking new signups. For now. International worldwide shipping is crazy, and it costs pretty much more to send an AdaBox than an AdaBox.
So we're going to come up with other solutions.
And we don't want to just charge people that.
Yeah.
So we'll come up with something that works. It's going to take a while.
Yep.
And then Philby made this neat video. This was a cool little Stemma speaker hack. I want to play that.
So I found a neat trick for getting a little more volume from one of these Adafruit Stemma speaker boards. This is a self-contained mono amplifier and a small speaker on a board for microcontroller projects. And the speaker that's on here, it has adhesive on both sides, and when it's installed at the factory, it's installed face up, because that would make sense, you'd think. You flip it face down, it's going to sound muffled like this, right? But speakers are weird animals, and sometimes what it's attached to or installed in becomes part of the resonant equation. And so if you peel off this other adhesive and flip the speaker over, like this one here, you get a little more oomph out of the speaker. Let me show you. Here's a standard one. And then here's one where I have flipped the speaker over. So you get a pretty decent boost, and it won't cost you a thing.
Okay, next up, time travel. There was a magazine that I really liked, and I still really like, and I think a lot of makers out there will like it. So sometimes it's hard to tell what does it mean to celebrate people and their achievements, And I think what you put on cover of magazine starts, even though magazines are more digital than they used to be, they're still, like everyone's like, what's the latest cover of Time magazine? So you were on the cover of this magazine called Reinvented. And
Ladies Who Hack.
Ladies Who Hack, I think it was their second issue. And the cool thing is I wanted to show some of the other people that I think folks in our community will know. So I was going to start here. So this
Hey, it's Megan Smith.
Megan Smith, the CTO of the United States, amongst many other things.
She's cool. Oh, is that Kamui cosplay over there?
That's right.
Oh, cool. That's
Cosplay.
Her, she's in her outfit. She's so cool.
All right. And now...
Yeah. Oh, hey, it's Raven the Science Maven.
Raven the Science Maven.
I love her. Check out her awesome antibody
Yeah.
yada rap. It's awesome.
So, congratulations, Raven. And one of the cool things is, science education is really hard. And we've all been waiting for what's going to be like the next Bill Nye, Mr. Wizard, or what are the things that are going to inspire people.
Bill Nye's like a really low bar. But
Well,
Mr. Wizard, he's pretty cool.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's a STEAM
Yeah.
opportunity out there. And Raven is a fantastic
She's got great TikToks. Go subscribe.
educator.
Go
So
subscribe.
I'm so pleased that you're among. If these were like baseball cards, this is what I collect them all. Collect all the STEAM educators and pioneers. And
Yeah.
I really like that they had one of our favorite cosplayers as well. So Reinvented Magazine, buy it, subscribe to it. They have a donation thing.
Support 'em.
It's another woman-owned organization, so go for it.
It's so cool to see people we know, get the commendation and recognition that they deserve.
It matters. It matters that we put certain people on the cover of magazines. I think, our Ladyada here is a sealant buster. She was the first female engineer on the cover of Wired. Very recently. So, there's all things that we can do. And I think my time at Make, we did a lot, but there's some things that I wish we could have done, which is use the cover of the magazine more for celebrating all the things that we want to see in the community. So there was a lot of like assistive tech. There was a lot of makers that I thought that could, broaden the market, and Make is doing that now. And so that's just one of the things where it's like, I think communities have a good shot of elevating people and giving them that opportunity and showing that there's a lot of cool people out there. And when you see Raven, you're like, I want to join that community. When you see Ladyada, it's like, I want to learn electronics like that. So anyways, so speaking of people that inspire to make, Collins Lab Notes is our series. I saw the same graphic from Collins Lab.
That's okay. It's cute.
Yeah.
Little bite size.
Yeah, what I want to do is show these. The first one is the ferrofluid one, and it's amazing. So
Very
we're going to
relaxing.
play these one after the other, and I'll see you on the other side in about 5 minutes.
You're gonna learn so much.
You can get away with using a helping hand or third hand tool when soldering small PCBs, but for holding anything larger, you should go for a vise. The old standby, Panavise Jr., works great for boards under 3 inches. And for boards up to 9 inches, Panavise also makes the PV350 Work Center, tricked out with rubber grip jaws and a built-in parts tray. The Pros Kit PCB clamp can also hold large boards, plus it easily flips them, which is handy for routing jumper wire on proto boards. For SMT boards you'd prefer not to flip, a stick vise keeps the board stable and flat, allowing you to steady your hands on the table. Alternatively, you could go for one of these flat circuit board holders, which are normally used for cell phone rework, but they're great for pretty much any SMT soldering. A microcontroller timing crystal is a mysterious little thing, hiding inside a metal can. Turns out it's not too difficult to take a look inside the through-hole variety, using a Dremel cutoff wheel, though I can imagine more delicate methods exist out there. For a very long time, unless you were using USB, a MIDI jack looked like this. The impressively substantial 5-pin DIN connector. Turns out the 2 outside pins on the old MIDI DIN connector weren't used. Only 3 were needed, so manufacturers took it upon themselves to start using something smaller, namely the 3.5mm TRS jack. And of course, without an industry standard, for a while we had 2 standards, MIDI TRS-A and MIDI TRS-B, which look identical but need an adapter. Yeah. Thankfully, the MIDI Manufacturers Association stepped in and chose MIDI TRS Type A as the standard we have today. So just be aware that older devices using MIDI TRS-B are still out there, waiting to confuse and frustrate.
All right, it's Python on Hardware time.
Blinka, blinka, blinka.
And special shout out to Katney, who's been running the newsletter and is back next week. So
And been doing so many GitHub things and helping out with products. Really helping out. Thank you so much.
Next week, there'll be Katney's newsletter, and then Anne's back, and I'll be doing the next one after that. So, big highlights I'll talk about in a second. So I'm going to skip the 200 board thing. Is we have 15 different available languages. We reached 100 boards in January 2020 at the Open Hardware Summit, and over a year later, we reached 200 boards. So I'll just talk about it now. 200 boards. So we did it.
200.
It is the most what's the right word for it? It's a menagerie of fantastic electronics.
It's
it has every chipset. It has every
it's got
every
a diversity
shape,
of
size.
options.
Yeah.
It's really like it's not Adafruit only board. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a bunch of boards in there because we make stuff. We
So
make
the-
CircuitPython, but we're like half of it.
So
At the most.
Yeah. So Adafruit boards are only half.
If that.
The number one download is not an Adafruit board.
No.
And if you look, and depending on who you think is a competitor of ours, those boards are all in it.
Wait, and then how much do we charge people to?
None, of course.
Nothing.
None. So
it's free.
it's open source and
Free.
And the reason we do this is because the bigger goal is to get as many people programming in Python and doing electronics as possible.
Yes.
And so
It's free.
It's okay if you want to support us with a board. That's fine. But the best thing to do too is just learn some Python. So in the newsletter,
And submit your boards too. We have guides on how to do it.
yeah. So in the newsletter, you can check out links to Scott's presentation at the Open Hardware Summit 2021. Scott presented interface design, open source hardware. And all the broadcasts are posted on YouTube. There's a new version of MicroPython 1.15.
I want to mention we recently, like today, merged in a pull request to bump CircuitPython up to MicroPython 1.10. So we're going to be slowly trying to catch up and merge in all of the language changes. So I know people have been waiting, and we're doing it now.
Okay. Check out Scott's Deep Dive tomorrow. And you can also check out all the news. There's
So many
a bunch.
projects, so many encoders.
There's a bunch. Sony, shout out to Sony. How to program microcontrollers using CircuitPython. This
Yeah,
is the
there's
Sony's
video.
presence. And they have 2 videos. And you can check out not only what Sony's doing, but the videos that they posted and what some of the projects that the people made. Make did a really neat series of, they think they call it like Plan B. It's like how to like cope with like maker technologies for what's been going on in
Yeah.
the last year. So Dale interviewed Carter, and it's our public CO2 display. We use these on every floor in Adafruit to see how much CO2 is around. That lets us know the air quality. That lets us know if the ventilation is good enough to continue to stay as safe as possible, all masked all the time, of course. Okay, and so the other thing I wanted to mention is 2 things. We are a participating sponsor for the Python Software Foundation, which is
Yes.
PyCon 2021 in May. It's a virtual event, and we're happy we can do it. I wish we can do more. This year, of course, is a little harder to do as much as we would like to do, or what we did last year, the year before, is because it was a physical device that's a little hard to do right now.
But we'll get back to that.
We'll get back to that. And don't worry, there'll be Adafruit and PyCon hardware, and we came up with what we could do. They were like, thank you so much, this is great. And I said, here's some graphics, participating sponsor at PyCon. The other thing that was in the newsletter that I thought was neat is Seed has their Xiao expansion board. And what is the selling feature that you put on Amazon to make sure people want to use this?
Ding dong.
CircuitPython supported.
Heck yeah.
So this is, there's indicators that it's like, all right, like
That's kinda cool.
we did something kind of cool. There's all these projects, there's all that code, there's all those boards, there's all these people, there's this community, and
People want it.
and people want it, and they're sharing it, and now it's becoming a selling feature for a board when people are deciding what board is right for them. So anyway, check it out. That's all the news. Oh, one other thing that I just put in here is there was a more advanced rendering or graphic of the Nano RP 2040
Ooh.
Connect
That's
from
cool.
Arduino. That'll run CircuitPython as soon as we get one, and if not already. And so check that out. So that's all in the newsletter. You can check that out at adafruitdaily.com, and you sign up. It's not connected to your store account or anything. It's just all good all the time.
Thank you, Blinka.
Okay. Open source hardware and open source news.
We do that.
So we're getting ready to maybe get our puppets going again, because you have to film close when you do puppets, and this is this is Blink, of course. And
Yeah,
then-
underneath the table, there's puppeteers, and they're not 6 feet apart.
And there's Mona, that's the GitHub Octocat. And I wrote a little article really fast because I wanted to get the word out. Is GitHub has been doing so much amazing work, and you can now post videos, 10 megabyte free, 100 megabyte pro account, and we put videos on all of our spots now. So we have videos in the CircuitPython section, in Stemma, awesome Feather. And if you look, this is just my personal page. And good news, bad news. I wanted to show the consequences of what happens when you have to stop everything and just take care of your team. So this
Yeah.
is my GitHub. So I was doing really good, 2019.
Ding dong.
So
ding
I
dong,
had,
ding, ding, ding,
almost
ding,
4,000 contributions
Yeah.
in 2019. Look at all that green.
Look at that green.
And then you could tell what happened
Oh.
March right here. So this is when the shutdown started. And
we had other people pick it up though, and
Yeah.
contributions went up.
yeah, and so this is where I'm at right now. So we'll see. This is where I'm at right now. So you can see I did get to do one thing in April, one thing in like March. But I'll get back.
Okay.
But this
yeah.
visualization, when I was looking at this, was was a little sad. I'm looking.
You have
forward-
so many contributions that
I-
are
I was-
not just in GitHub.
Well, I want to get back to that too, but
Okay.
but I understand I'm useful to help the team keep Adafruit.
But I've got a lot of contributions, and
Yeah.
I always ask you for advice on engineering. So
I know, but
look,
man,
you can count that. It's part
As
of
soon as you have a thing that you can fill, it's like a collection. You got it.
I know.
All right, so we have 2,464 learn guides. Ladyada, what are the big board guides
We
this
actually
week?
had a lot of guides this week. Let's start from the bottom. Chris Young published a guide on making an IoT IO remote using the Raspberry Pi Zero W, which is a powerful Linux computer, and a Qt Pi, which is a low-cost microcontroller that can do infrared stuff really fast because it's a microcontroller. So combining the two, making an IoT IO remote is a really detailed guide. Chris Young, there's nobody on earth better at accessibility engineering. We've updated our guide for custom fonts with CircuitPython displays. Thank you to, I know we've had a bunch of folks who've been helping out with those guys. K-Match and I forgot their handle, but it'll come to me in 2 seconds. But you know who you are. Thank you for helping write more, Foamy Guy, for writing more font stuff and tutorials and helping people out and improving the libraries and the graphics support in CircuitPython. We also have a guide for the new Adafruit Funhouse, all-in-one home automation kit. You're going to see a bunch of projects that we're doing. We're still at home. Home sweet home. So let's do some fun home automation projects, sense things around the house. And we also have another guide from Melissa related, which is how to use the Funhouse with Home Assistant. You can use it as your remote node. Run Home Assistant on a Raspberry Pi, have the Home Assistant running CircuitPython or even Arduino if you want, collecting data and then sending that data over Wi-Fi to your Home Assistant, and then you can have like a Home Assistant controlling your house and interfacing with all the different home automation thingies that you've got. She did an excellent demo a couple weeks ago on Show and Tell where she turned on the NeoPixels LEDs on the Funhouse using her voice by telling her voice assistant to do it. It was cool. And then used the buttons to also dim the lights. It was intense. It's cool. What you can do. We got a guide on QR codes. It's actually a port from a very old guide that was we found on a website. And we're like, hey, this should be on Learn. So we just moved it over. We've got the guide for the Qt Pi RP2040. People are loving it. They got it. And we really wanted to throw together a guide real fast. We'll be doing more projects. But this tells you the pinouts and, the GPIO and the schematics and some example code to get you started with CircuitPython. JP did a project with the Funhouse. He did door alert and also how to get alert data into an email, which is the tough part. Because sensing a door opening and closing, not too hard. It's a digital input. You can read it. But then how do you get that to email you when a door is opened or closed? So he shows you 2 ways to do it. And then Dylan wrote a guide on using PiperMake, which is neat. PiperMake is a little bit like MakeCode. It's Blockly. It's a block-based programming language. But underneath, it uses CircuitPython to program a Raspberry Pi Pico. PiperMake also has a subscription service, it sounds like. But they did a really good job with this drag-and-drop block-based programming. They also support HID, so if you want to make keyboards, he actually did a little keyboard automation project using PiperMake, all with drag-and-drop programming.
Okay, but there's 2 more because we had so many this week.
Oh, that's right. This is the Noah and Pedro published their guide on the 32 by 32 square matrix animation display. You can use sprite graphics to program a RP2040 feather, although you can use almost any other high-powered feather to display animated graphics, and they made a cool square grid that goes over the matrix that makes it look really good, like very pixel art. And then Kevin did an excellent guide on how to save memory on CircuitPython, especially when using graphics and fonts, because it can quickly take up a lot of your RAM. He got great tips on how to squeeze the most memory, both flash and RAM, out of your CircuitPython board so you can have a good time with CircuitPython.
Okay, next up, some made in New York City factory footage. Here we go. And it wouldn't be made in New York City factory footage.
Ooh.
If it wasn't, look how far
like ants.
Disney's coming now. This is the Disney building across the street. They're really moving
This is
now.
right. This is the really. It's coming together.
This is the giant Scrooge McDuck gold vault
That's
that they're
right.
building.
This is all their Disney.
You'll be able to
Disney
swim
Plus
in
bucks.
it for the price of only 10 Bitcoins.
Okay.
So 3D printing, we have a special 3D printing this week. We will come right back after the break. All right, and don't worry, ours are turned so you can't see any information, but this is mine, this is Ladyada's.
Yeah.
We had our first shot, and we're getting our second shot soon. So we have, thank you, Noah and Pedro, for sending these to us. These are our vaccination cards. And
This is cool. I mean, like, why not decorate it?
yeah, and you know, I know that some folks maybe they have people in their family that they got misinformation, or maybe they just need help figuring out when they're going to get vaccinated. But there is one way through, and a key to everything we want to do, and it's to make sure as many people are as safe as possible from getting this terrible illness. I don't know if any of you know someone in your life, or maybe even you got COVID, or someone in your family died, or a friend. But there's also the people who survived, and they're still going through a lot of pain and suffering. You don't want this. Even mild cases end up hurting people for a really long time. There's millions of people that are going to be coping with this, and there's one thing for sure that we can do. And please, multipass.
Multipass, vaccinate.
Get vaccinated.
And you get a free donut. How can you not love
At
that?
Krispy Kreme, you do. It is true.
How can you not love that?
Okay,
Okay.
so now we're going to go to everyone's favorite segment, Digikey, and Adafruit present. All right, this week, lady, is from Maxim Integrated.
right.
What is the NPI of this week?
Okay, this week's NPI is the Max 2361. And you're probably wondering, what is this? Well, it's this little chip that is a boost converter. And it's a specific kind of boost converter. Well, what kind? I'd love to tell you, but you know what day it is today?
I don't know.
It's Earth Day.
All right.
It's Earth Day today. This is an eco-friendly
I feel
day.
like we can be a little better to Earth on Earth Day.
I think so too. And one of the ways we can be good to the earth is by using the sun. That's right. Our best friend, Mr. Sun, which is the source of all life on Earth, can also be used to power electronic projects and sensors. And you can do that using solar panels. And so this is some nice big solar panel cells that we've got in the shop. And we also stock a solar charger kit. We actually have two different ones. And the solar charger kits that we've got, they're specifically for larger panels. Like you can see, like physically quite large panels that would go on like a backpack or like a box, or you see these outside. They power air quality sensors and stuff on the street. And this boost converter, the Max 20361, is a specific type of boost converter that is designed for use with very small solar panels to charge up a small LiPo battery or a supercapacitor. And why do you need a special boost converter? Well, I love showing this curve of solar cell information. So this is one cell. So a single cell has an open voltage. Like if it's in the sun and there's no current being drawn from it, it's about like 0.6 or 0.7 volts. So if you start from the right of this graph and you move up, you'll see that as you draw more and more current, the voltage, like you quickly go up. You can quickly as you start drawing current, the voltage, the current goes up, the voltage moves to the left, it goes down, 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 and then where you see that kind of like line that kind of is going through all the curves, that's the max power point. Because if you draw too much current from a solar cell, what happens is the voltage collapses. It goes, you can see how flat it is at the top. It goes very quickly from about 0.5 volts to 0.43 volts, and then you draw even a little bit more current and like boom, you're at 0 volts. So you have to be very, very careful about how much current you draw from a solar cell, because you want to be where that black line that's cutting through all of the curve, the rainbow curves is, that's your max power point. That's the point where if you are drawing that much current from that much voltage, you're going to get the most power out of the cell. If you draw less current, you're losing power, you're leaving power on the table. If you draw any more, your voltage will collapse and you won't get any power at all. So, right, it's very, very sensitive, and it isn't a fixed voltage. It depends, and the fixed current, it depends on how much sunlight there is. On a very bright day, it's going to be that red curve. On a cloudy day, it's going to be like that light blue curve in the middle, right? It depends on how much current you can draw. So this boost converter, you can see on the top left corner, you can see there's a little like a diode thing with rays coming into it. It's the inverse of an LED. It's a solar cell. So you can connect a couple solar cells together, and it's a very small chip. It's very simple, but it's very effective. It monitors the voltage, it monitors the temperature. You can program it over I2C to give it some details about how much max current and what the output voltage you want the boost converter to be, and it will give you that output voltage, and will also even wake up your circuit when it's gotten to a certain charge rate. So that'll keep your circuit from waking up unexpectedly, like before the battery's fully charged. You want to wait till the battery's fully charged, and then you want your sensor to wake up and then maybe send Bluetooth Low Energy data or LoRa or cellular or Wi-Fi. And it's pretty efficient. It does a really good job. You can check it out. They've got a lot of specifications for all the different, boost peak currents, which you can configure because, you want to make sure that you don't overcharge your little battery as well. It's a delicate game, right? You want to get as much current out of the solar panel, but you don't want to overwhelm your battery. They make a really great eval board for this, which I do recommend. I'll show it on the overhead later, since I want to show it. In the very middle is the tiny little chip. And on the top right there is actually the solar cell. So the solar cell here it looks a little bit like an OLED. It's quite small. Looks like a single cell. The eval board comes with like an FT232 type dongle thing. You plug it in and you can configure it. I do recommend the eval board just because this chip is so small, and you'll want to really configure it and play with it before you decide on what kind of battery or supercapacitor you go with. It also has this cool mode where after you've set, use like the GUI to set the specifications for what you want your boost converter to do, then you can go back and look at the registers to see what register values you've programmed in, which is like really smart, because obviously once you got it to where you want, then you want to dump that data into your microcontroller to program it in. And I want to mention, actually, usually the max PowerPoint stuff is handled by a microcontroller. But when you're dealing with such small cells, you don't have enough current to drive a microcontroller. It'll use all of your power budget. So this is why you want the charger itself to do the max PowerPoint calculations for you. Only thing about it that is you just got to watch out for. I mean, if you're designing this into a product, I'm sure you can deal with it. But it is a 0.4 millimeter pitch BGA. So personally, that's, for me, I would have to go with like a 4-layer board, and you'd have to go with like very small vias. Because 0.4 millimeter pitch is small, but it's designed for wearables. It's designed for very, very small devices that have like micro solar cells in them to let them charge and then perform sensor readings and then transmit that data. So it's small. It doesn't have a lot of pins. It just doesn't have even that much configuration required, which I really like. They kept it simple and very straightforward. It's small. It's 1.6 by 1.2 millimeters. It's like a speck of dust. That's small.
All right. You can get this on DigiKey. Mm-hmm. That's why we're doing INMPI.
That's right.
And the
We've
short
also got the
URL.
eval board.
Yeah.
Out.
Short URL is there, and the product number is there, and every single week we do this. We do also have a video that Lady is going to narrate.
Yes.
It's sped up twice as fast.
Okay, I gotta tell you something cool about that. The reason I picked this video is check what they have as the radio on that dev board. Does that look familiar?
It does.
It does. That's our LoRa breakout. So they're using one of our LoRa breakouts. So I like this video. We sped it up, but it basically just shows everything on the eval board. It shows the supercapacitor. It shows this is that inductor because it is a boost converter, so you do need one inductor, but it's pretty small. It can be incredibly efficient, and of course, we're going at very, very low voltages and very, very low currents. They also have a nice little animation video here telling you, it's a harvester. It's meant to be shaded and lit, and it'll turn on whenever there's enough voltage and current for it to start charging. That's why a supercapacitor is really good in this case because it can charge up very quickly. It's not as sensitive as a LiPo, but of course, you can use a LiPo as well.
And that's this week's Ion MPI. All right, we're gonna roll in the new.
Why you can sing my new
I'm not. I'm
song?
getting it
It's
ready
my
for you.
new.
All right, so we have a little bit of an update. LibKit.
Okay, LibKit, we now have a version with 8 gigabyte RAM for people who want a ton of RAM for their Raspberry Pi 4. Raspberry Pi 4s are a little bit tough to come by right now. We also have the kit available, of course, without a Raspberry Pi. So if you have one already, you can get one. Do that. Believe me, we order these as quickly as we can.
Next up.
Next up, we have a 40-pin flex cable. And this 40-pin flex cable is on its own quite handy whenever you need an FPC, but what it's really useful for is when you use it with the next 4 products, which are these FPC to 40-pin header adapters. So let's just click through them and then I'll show them. So basically it's an FPC on one.
You want to do this?
You want to do this. Because actually you came up with this idea, by the way. I don't know, this is your fault. You said, hey, with the Pi 400, it would be really cool if there was some way you could get a very flexible cable, more flexible than the GPIO out.
The reason
do you remember
the reason I needed and wanted this is because we were working on the cyber deck.
Yeah.
And you could do a hinge system and have this as a monitor and more.
Or have it mounted even elsewhere, even farther away. And the GPIO cables we have, and I'll show one on the overhead when we do this, they're kind of chunky. What's nice about this is that you pick and choose the 2 pieces. What do you want? You want right angle or straight? This is pointing out, this is pointing up. Do you want socket? Do you want male headers? And because it's reversible, you pick which 2 ends you want, and then you get the flex cable in between, and here it is plugged into a Raspberry Pi 400, or you can use it with a Raspberry Pi 2, 3, 4, whatever, 0. You mix and match, create your own cable, and then you can even use an extender with it. So let me show it on the overhead because there's a few different options. So starting off, I've got a Pi 400 here. And with this one, I picked this plug to plug in.
And so that's what I want to do. I wanted to be able to have a flexible cable.
Right.
And then be able to do anything I wanted.
And then this is the Sense Hat plug. I like this because it's rainbowy, so it's like, ooh, it's working, right? And I even have an extender. So I even have a flex cable extender coming out here. So you can, look, technically you're not supposed to make these cables that long.
Yeah.
But whatever, we're punk. We know the rules, so we love to break them. You could go a meter. Really, go for it. Meter, 2 meters. As long as you're willing to understand that the other side, if it's very timing specific, you're going to need to just be wary of that. But you see, it's like, you pick and choose which ends you want, and then you just put the cable in. The flex cable attaches in, and then the only thing to watch out for is you want to look at your board and trace out which is pin 1, because things can get flippy floppy. It's very easy to get reversed because it will let you be reversed. So just think carefully and then trace it out. I use my finger, to be honest. I look like which is pin 1, and then I trace it, and I'm like, that's pin 1, and then I plug it in. So, I'll try. Let's see if I plugged it in right. No, see, I got it wrong. It's this way. There you go. Now it's rainbowy. So just be aware of that. So you've got socket style, and you've got header plug style, and we've got right angle and straight out. It's basically everything you could possibly want. And then the flex cable, and then we have the extensions as well. So go to town. This is, normally you would use something like this. This is like the normal IDC cable that we use, and these are great, right? Nothing wrong with these, but you see they're chunky. It's like I want to make them flexible. They're not that flexible. Not as flexible as FPC cables.
Okay. Ready? Next up.
Okay. Next up, this is great. So we've got these awesome kits. Hold on, let me move So the first one is the robot. Grab it. So this is Scout makes, and they come on the show and tell, and they showed their kits, and we're like, yeah, we'll stock your kits. So there's 2 kits that we're carrying of theirs. There's the FM radio kit, and there's the robot kit. So let's start with the robot kit, which is this one. Okay, so the robot kit, it comes with a bunch of...
Here, you're on the overhead. So
yeah,
take a look.
3D printed... Okay, hold on, because this is going to spin around, so I got to be careful here. Focus lock. Okay, so this is a Bluetooth, it's got a battery. It's a Bluetooth board with an OLED and then 2 little Metal Gear servos, and it says robot ready, and it's got cool LEDs. So I can use this phone. It's going to be like your phone, so then I can go over to Bluetooth Connect, and then it shows up as a Circuit Pi. It's running Circuit Python. I connect to it. And then under the controller, I can go to the control pad, and I'm going to just, press this, and it spins. And if I pressed up and down, it would fly off the table, so I'm not going to do that. And then you can have it, it makes little beeping sounds. It has little songs, and it changes colors. And this is just the demo it ships with. So you can program this all you like. I just love how cute it is. I love that it spins in a circle. It's really nicely made. It's got really good motors. This is the motor kit.
Circuit Python.
And it's Circuit Python. It's basically a Bluetooth nRF52840 development board.
Circuit Python.
With Circuit Python.
Okay.
Okay. And then the second one that it is hold on, let me get the second board. One moment, I apologize.
Well, I'm showing pictures of it while
Show
you're doing
pictures
it.
while you do it. The second one is an FM radio kit. And this is also Bluetooth nRF52840. And it plugs into this radio control board with, it's got buttons on it, and it's also got an OLED. So let me turn this one on. And then I've got these speakers. I've got a speaker here, and I'll plug this in. And it plays radio. It's an ad, but usually it's music, but I'm actually kind of glad it's not music
glad,
because
yeah.
YouTube would get upset at us. But it's an FM radio, so you can tune it, and you can use the buttons to change your tuning. It's like a fun way to just make your own DIY FM radio, and then of course there's also Bluetooth, so you can control it over Bluetooth. I will note it doesn't do Bluetooth audio. So in case you're wondering, oh, can you take the FM radio and do the Bluetooth audio? No,
Yeah.
you can control it over Bluetooth.
And I goofed on the order of these, but we had additional ones of these that should have went back.
Oh, that's okay. We should basically the same
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
And then here is
Okay, cool.
the next new product.
Next new product, there's 2 products. These are camera mounts. These are just hardware. I want to clarify. You don't get the Raspberry Pi with them. You don't get the camera with them.
You don't get the quarter.
You don't get the quarter.
You don't get the
the tripod. You don't get the cable. It's just the camera mount that lets you connect one of the new Raspberry Pi HQ high-quality cameras to a Pi Zero, or we have the larger version to like a Pi 4. And I want to note, the one I really liked here, it comes with a little level at the top, which I just thought was so slick, right? You have a little level so you can get a really, it's not only a nice mechanical kit, but I like that extra touch of making it easy to get your tripod all leveled out. So check that out. It's inexpensive and great add-on to a camera and a Raspberry Pi.
Next up at the start of the show tonight, besides you, Ladyada, our community, our Adafruit team, our customers, is...
The DVI breakout. Woohoo! Well, I think it's as exciting. This is a pretty cool board. So let me also plug this in. Oh my god, I have so many cables. Where does this cable end? Okay, so the DVI breakout is kind of what it sounds like. It's just a breakout board for a DVI connector, which you might also call an HDMI connector, but for reasons we're not going
to call it that.
We're not going to call it HDMI. We're going to call it DVI. So this.
Someone will say that
Oh.
looks like an HDMI cable being plugged into it, and I would say yes, that's true.
It's going into an HDMI monitor.
Yeah, I'd say that's true. And so I'm going to do a little bit of a split screen. So you're saying, oh, okay, well.
So what? So what is this DVI?
where does that HDMI cable lead to?
Where is it going?
To here. This is live,
This is it.
coming off the device right
So
now.
if you want your Raspberry Pi Pico to make ebon heads bounce around, this is your bag. You want this breakout. I made this specifically because I saw Ren, who is a developer for the Raspberry Pi Foundation, was doing a lot of really cool demos with generating DVI signal from a Raspberry Pi Pico, an RP2040, which I just thought was just hilarious because it's like a total abuse of the microcontroller. And like I said, we're punk. We know the rules, so let's break them.
That's right.
You're not supposed to do this, but he did it anyways, or they did it anyways. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's so cool. I want to play with that. And that's when I realized we don't have a DVI breakout in the store. I was like, oh, that could be a really handy thing if you want to. This is a DVI or HDMI source device, so it does not have the EEPROM. So if you're looking at it, you're like, why is the EEPROM not soldered in? That's for if you want to use it as a sync device, which we may also create a breakout that is a different product that has the source EEPROM that you could reprogram with the EID. This is for the sync. This is the source. So this is for generating signal into an HDMI monitor. There's more demos than this, but I just thought this one was the funniest one because it's just Eben heads bouncing around. So you can change this to be your own head, I guess. It's pretty straightforward. You've got your HDMI compatible mechanical connector soldered onto a board with 200-ish ohm resistors in series for the 8 data lines and then ground pins in between.
Is it DVI-D or DVI-I?
This is D. This is digital video.
And then I also wanted to do a shout out. So Tinkering Tech is in the chat. Thanks Adafruit for letting me sell my kits on your platform. Scout Mix
And we sold out.
Scout Mix was born last year during the pandemic. Is named after my daughter Scout. Hope to get more little girls and everyone into STEM. Thank you.
Okay.
No, thank you. You came on the show and tell. We chatted. You showed your projects. We got together, and now you're selling stuff on Adafruit. And someone said in the chat why this was going on as we were showing all these things. They said, you know what? Adafruit just became Radio Shack, and I take that as a compliment. And that is our new products of the week this week.
New.
All right, we're gonna roll right into Top Secret,
Yeah.
but go over to Discord, ask your questions, and we're gonna get out of here pretty soon. But first, here is I gotta do the vault graphic.
Yeah.
Hello.
Get out of the vault.
All right, from the vault. What is this, Ladyada? It looks like a big deal.
This is the thing I was showing you on the desk of Ladyada. So I finally finished this. It's my routed out, snap apart 5x6 keyboard breakout. So it's designed to have row and key. It's a key matrix that can be snapped apart, or have other boards soldered onto the ends. And it has neopixels on every key that are snaked through each row, so you have only one neopixel line. So I thought it was a cute design. So excited.
All right, and then here's the progress on the Trinkies. There was 3 of them.
Now there's 4.
Now there's 4. We're showing off some of the cards that we might do that go along with it. Now keep in mind, this is a Trinky. This is Neo Trinky. Okay? And some of them have these special graphics and animation.
Ooh. It's shiny.
Yeah, this is the key
This
Trinky.
is the shiny Neo Key Trinky.
And this is the Neo Trinky.
Ooh, also shiny. I just want to make friends with it.
So this is what you get, but here's all the friends that you can make along with it.
Yeah.
And with that is Top Secret.
Okay, let's get to some questions.
Yeah, we are. All right, so questions. Ask
Sure.
them. There was some that were in earlier, and some folks got to it, so thank you very much. But please go join us all, 28,000 of us. Plus, I think it's 29,000 now. Adafruit.it/Discord, and we will start answering them.
Okay.
So let me line up. When you think DVI, it's the one with the flat pins. Is that the way?
Yeah,
to
I
think
think
of
they're thinking of the big flat connector. This is an HDMI connector, but it's still digital video over it. It's confusing because it's the same data format, just different mechanical connections.
Okay. Can the DVI do Hello World in white text over, say, a black screen? And thoughts on how quickly it could update words? Any plans for example code for that?
There is actually example code just for that to display text on the screen in the Pico examples repo.
So you'll be able to use that thing.
So yeah, so you would use this, but check out, if you search for RP2040 Pico DVI, you'll see tons of demos and examples, and there's a whole folder of examples you compile. It's in the Pico SDK, so it's in C.
Okay. What QFN part do you recommend making the pads a little larger than the chip while making prototypes, especially as a beginner, to be able to see if it reflowed correctly?
I think it's, sometimes you can make them a little longer. I'd make them a little longer, maybe. I wouldn't make them any wider, because often QFNs, there's not a lot of space between the pads, and you really want to give yourself, you want to have that solder mask to help you define the pads quite well. I used to be a little bit more laissez-faire with the pads. I now actually really just stick to the manufacturer recommendations. I find that it's better to upgrade your tools than to try to mess around with the pads because it can bite you.
Okay, where are you hosting the Neo Trinky animations? I want to display them on LCD. You'll absolutely be able to do that.
We'll get you
However, working with Bruce, these are hot off. This is our design.
This is like an hour old.
Yeah, and what I want to do.
This is a newborn Trinky.
Yeah, what I want to do is you'd be able to collect these all on your digital versions and screens and stuff like that. And you'll also maybe these animations will come on the Neo Trinky and the keyboard Trinky.
We should put like QR codes on the Trinky.
All sorts of things that we'll be able to do. And so, we'll have all these things. So don't worry, you'll be able to download these like all of our other things. All right, next up. What happened to the slider Trinky? Oh, this is coming soon.
It's one of the Trinkies. It's just
Yeah.
it's not in the first 4 collectible Trinkies
It's not in this batch.
in this batch, but
We have to get these wet, and then they multiply, and don't feed them after midnight. All those things.
No, it's like the starter Pokemon,
Yeah.
right? There's only 3 to start, but believe me, there's more.
This is Ask an Engineer. How do you judge all those projects and make time for all of them and finish them? Well,
we don't really. I
well,
mean, it's
so
really
I'll
bad.
say, you know what?
It's hard.
No, I'll show you. Like, I didn't. I didn't. So, the most important thing that we do is
Let's go to the Evan heads.
the most important thing that we do is we take care of our team at Adafruit, our remote team members, our team members in house. We take care of our community. We take care of our customers, and the sacrifices that Lady Ada makes and I make to run a company. They're big, but they're worth it because we see the impact. Seeing someone come up with an idea during the pandemic, name a product line after their daughter to get more young girls into electronics, and then them being able to come on our shows and then sell them in our store. You know what? Like, there's some personal projects we won't get to, but that's not the point. I think the personal project for us is seeing people being able to do that. So I think you have to find your successes in the project you don't finish in some ways. So if you make things that empower others, maybe in some small way, you're part of their projects that get finished, or at least you can be part of the journey to start. And I think getting more people to start is some of the hardest things, and that's what we do. Could you recommend any cool Adafruit parts for circuit bending, camera to create glitches, or anything analog video says?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'd actually pick up. We have the we have a NTSC output camera, and NTSC sucks, which means it's awesome for glitching. And you can definitely mess with the crystals. You can touch stuff on it, and I think you'll get some good video. And it's like kind of crummy video, so that could be a good like analog glitchy thing for video.
Trinky animations with real Trinky. Yep, that will happen one day. You'll be able to plug it to Trinky and it'll play an animation in some way. Oh,
Yeah.
So follow-up, upgraded tool. Just one of those hot air stations you sell would work. All I have is this toaster oven. I converted at the moment.
Toaster ovens are good. I really do actually quite like the hot plates that I've been using.
Okay.
Hot plates, hot air. Yeah, a good stencil is kind of the most important. So use Osh stencil to get stainless steel stencils. Those have really made a big difference. Once I moved to not trying to paste by hand, but using a stencil, even though it's a little bit more expensive, like my yields improved a lot. It was also a lot faster to put together.
Do you have any guides on how to put together an I2C display to work? I just received your 14-segment display with I2C backtrack and have no clue where to start.
Yeah, go to Learn.
Learn.adafruit.com.
And type in the product name, and you'll see some guides.
Oh, this is a really good question. But I'm going to edit a little bit. Are CircuitPython, MicroPython, Python boards outselling Arduino-based boards? Yes.
The boards that we have that do both outsell the ones that do only one. Yes.
So.
Because by the way, like all of our boards that do CircuitPython can also do Arduino.
Yeah,
I want to mention that.
Yeah. So
Not amending Arduino.
So here's what's happened. The chips are fast enough now, and there's enough RAM where you can run CircuitPython, MicroPython, you can run MakeCode, you can run Arduino, you can do Rust, TinyGo, and all that stuff. What we saw and what we're seeing is it became clear that there was almost a 10-to-1 where people, for every 10 feathers, and pretty good idea with CircuitPython, but even if it was a 10-to-1 versus standards, kind of classic Arduinos. And so that's why we're really excited to help catch the wave on scripting languages on microcontrollers. We're seeing it in the sales, we're seeing it in the community. There's projects that would have never been able to happen, and they're happening now. Okay. Do you have any difficulty sourcing parts on board restocking?
Yeah, there's some stuff that's going to be out of stock, and we'd have no idea when it's going to be back in.
Okay.
I also know we're having trouble getting microbits. It's tough out there.
Yeah.
We're going to do the best we can, believe me. Like, we are really good at sourcing.
So
But there's going to be some stuff that's not going to be around. I don't know what it is. I wish I could tell you, but I don't.
Neotrinky NFT, yeah. So we are going to do this. It's a real thing. We're calling these not forever Trinkies, and that'll be when we find parts that we know are limited. Like, let's say if there was like some type of weird, cool like BlackBerry trackball Trinky. Obviously, we're not going to be able to do tons of this, so we would do a limited run, and we'd call those
Or like a Nixie Trinky or
yeah,
something.
we
It's
call
like
those NFT, not forever Trinkies. And one thing you can be sure of, we're not going to just like do some digital thing and not have physical electronics. So maybe one day we'll see about like digital NFTs, but the idea is you'll have a physical experience that you can stay and collect. And we think these are artistic, so I think it goes along with that. And maybe like people will store their like, JSON file on the Trinky
You can.
for the NFT.
There's a little
they-
storage.
they bought.
Yeah, you could put a Bitcoin address on there.
Okay, last question tonight. If time and resources weren't limited, what electronics would you like to make for Adafruit that you aren't doing now? You go, and then I'll go.
And what am I doing? Well, I do get to them. It just takes me a little time. But I'm working on keyboard stuff right now. They're just kind of fun. I'm a little late to the keyboard game, but I'm doing a lot of keyboard stuff and these Trinkies. I think that's fun. And we're also going to get to a camera project that we've been meaning to do for many, many years. We're finally going to get to it, so you'll see it coming soon.
Okay, I'll go. And you said resources and time weren't limited, so what I would do...
Stargate.
Technically not a Stargate, but I would tell Paul Horowitz that I would like to work with him and Ladyada. And by the way, he just won the Drake Award, which is a pretty big award
That's
for
cool.
people who are searching for intelligent life out there using really high-end, amazing electronics. I think he did the first like
You said he,
radio receiver optical SETI. So anyways, if I had unlimited time and unlimited resources, I would go big and go small. So I would like to do a particle accelerator to eventually fix the standard model, which needs a lot of help. And I would eventually want
It's made
to...
out of Trinkies.
It's Trinkies all the way down. Up, down...
Up Trinky,
down
strange
Trinky, strange Trinky.
red Trinky, blue Trinky.
Yeah, we team up with particle. So I would like to work on the big and the small. So the small would be particle accelerators to just finally throw out the resources that we could to figure out the standard model. There's a lot of things that could be amazing for everyone if we can unlock some of the secrets of the universe on the small, and then on the big, working with someone like Paul Horowitz and Ladyada and maybe Bunny to make the biggest attempt to listen in to the cosmos and understand this universe we're in. I know that is something that's unlimited time and unlimited
It really
budget.
is unlimited time and budget. That's cool.
We got a few billion years left to maybe work on it, but there's so many things that help science and medicine, and you name it from these technologies. I know it seems weird, but it's just a particle, but it's just like gravity waves. But these things, you get like MRI devices, you get all sorts of things from understanding the electromagnetic spectrum and more. And
That's what we do here.
I was hoping in the last year that maybe these tragedies from racial justice to a pandemic would have brought us closer together, and I feel like we were kind of divided, and maybe talking to aliens would help. So that's my other selfish
That'd be helpful, yeah.
reason for if again this is the unlimited time, unlimited budget thing. You said it, not me. So that is
Space.
my
All right.
one. Okay.
So any more questions you want to do?
That is it.
All right,
Those are all
thanks,
the questions
everybody.
tonight. Thank you so much, everybody. Will there be an Arduino episode of Feathers? Yeah, probably. By the way, anytime you see a chip, there'll probably be a Feather version of it. It's pretty easy to do. So that's it tonight. I want to do a special thanks to our team, our community,
Thanks, everybody.
our customers, Kelly behind the scenes on the Slack channel. And I would like to thank everyone for tuning in and being part of this with us, because I know there's been some tough times, but I also know that there has been a lot of hope to look forward to, and thanks for tuning in. We'll be changing Ask an Engineer up a little bit. Of course, we're going back to Wednesdays, of course, next week.
yes.
But very soon we'll be changing our shift on site. So on some of the days we're
Background
doing,
might change.
yeah. So some of the days we're doing Ask an Engineer. We'll make sure the team's out, and then we can take our masks off because it'll just be the two of us there. And we want to make sure that we set a good example. We'll be fully vaccinated and all that, but we want to make sure we're setting an example. When we're on site with other people, we'll do that, continue to keep our team safe. And I'll tell you the other thing I'm looking forward to is, and I'll tell folks because I think masks are one of those things where it's like, when are we going to take them off? So we've each had one dose. We take our masks off when we walk outside together, and we're just around together. There you go. The end. And you know, the CDC will probably say the same thing soon. And that's okay. It feels good. It's springtime out.
I know.
So we'll see everybody later. Get your multi-pass.
Multipass.
We'll see you next week. Here is your moment of Zener.